Mr. Timmons, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Secretary, it is great to see you again, and thank you for being here. Your experience and leadership at Treasury are widely respected and appreciated as we work to make the U.S. economy more competitive in the global economy. And I know you were hearing some questions about tariffs. Is that the purpose of the last year, to renegotiate our trade agreements to make the U.S. economy more competitive in the global economy?
100%. There are numerous goals, but it is to make the U.S. economy more resilient. We're now seeing 4.1% growth for the past 3 quarters. So we are seeing inflation drop. So tariff inflation was the dog that didn't bark.
Well, I appreciate it. I think that the businesses that are trying to compete in the global economy are far better off because of the last year. There was some strain through the uncertainty, but most of that is behind us, and I just really appreciate your hard work. Additionally, after several years of regulatory uncertainty and pervasive government overreach, it is encouraging to see serious leadership at Treasury focused on restoring balance to our financial system. That work matters not only to markets, but to families, small businesses, and communities across the country. You have called for a fundamental reset of financial regulation and emphasized Treasury's role in promoting appropriately tailored regulation to support economic growth. I agree with that approach. While there has been progress on tailoring supervision, far less has been done to modernize regulatory tailoring itself, particularly the interagency thresholds that trigger enhanced prudential standards for Category 2 through 4 banks. Those thresholds were set years ago and have not been updated to reflect inflation, economic growth, or changes in the financial system. As a result, banks that were never intended to be treated like GSIBs are increasingly subject to requirements that do not match their risk profiles. Republicans on this committee raised this concern in a letter to the federal banking agencies last November. Mr. Secretary, my question is this: how are Treasury and the Financial Stability Oversight Council working to coordinate across the agencies to modernize and update these thresholds and to ensure that regulatory tailoring keeps pace with economic reality rather than falling further behind it?
Congressman, I believe there's a chance that the community banker who I referenced with 200 million assets may have actually been from your district. So we are all hands on deck, and we've seen 50% of these institutions disappear, and we are working as quickly as we can. Again, one size fits all for regulation is a disaster, and as potentially the woman, the bank president and owner from your district said, Bank of America's regulatory regime is not good for something in the Piedmont and upcountry in South Carolina for a bank with 200 million assets.
I couldn't agree more. Tailoring should apply not only to prudential standards, but also to supervision itself. For example, my bipartisan legislation, the SMART Act, would allow smaller, well-managed, and well-capitalized institutions to combine certain consumer compliance and IT exams, reducing unnecessary burden while preserving strong oversight. Ms. Secretary, how can legislation like the SMART Act and other bipartisan efforts this committee has advanced help build on the principle of tailoring and restore a regulatory framework that truly works for Main Street without compromising safety and soundness?
Congressman, I think it may be very important to get this into a regulatory framework, because what we've seen for too long, just as the bank examiner said to the $200 million banker, you should be more like Bank of America. We cannot have supervision, or we cannot have regulation done through supervision. We need to have clear guidelines for tailoring for many banks, as I said earlier, are industry concentrated, geographic concentrated, and we have got to push this through, or we are going to, they will be too small to succeed.
I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you for that. I want to close by discussing the trillions of dollars in foreign direct investment that you and President Trump have shepherded into the United States over the past year. In our home state of South Carolina alone, hundreds of billions of dollars in new investment have been announced that will create high-paying, highly skilled jobs for our communities. Nearly every week I'm in Washington, I meet with a foreign manufacturer that is expanding its footprint in the upstate. And I also want to thank you for your work to remove tariffs from coffee, which has been directly welcomed by manufacturers like Keurig in South Carolina that have benefited from this administration's commitment to fair and sensible trade policy. It's hard to believe that the largest coffee manufacturer in the world is in Spartanburg, South Carolina, but it is, and we greatly appreciate your work to help make sure that they're competitive in the U.S. economy and in the global economy. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you.
And Congressman, I would just point out that
Gentleman's
there's a
expired.
lot of discussion on coffee prices.
Gentleman's time has
Coffee
expired.
prices experienced a global.
The gentleman's time has expired.
increase.
Thank you.
Please, Ms. Secretary, if you'd respond in writing if you have more on that topic. Now,